There is a quiet sound that comes after the initial cracking of the bubble and the chaotic mischief of the apprentice. It's not the sound of silence, but the sound of space. The space that opens up between a newly forming awareness and the familiar, comforting frequencies of an old life. This is where a peculiar solitude sets in, a feeling of being out of sync with the very chorus that once gave us our note, our place, our belonging. It is the loneliness of the path, and it is the undeniable cost of a certain kind of freedom. This loneliness isn't merely about being alone. It is the specific, often aching experience of watching old social bonds, those beautiful, intricate structures built on a foundation of shared unconsciousness, begin to strain, to fray, or to dissolve entirely. The jokes that no longer land because their humor was built on an unspoken prejudice we can now see. The family traditions that feel less like celebration and more like the recitation of a script we never agreed to write. The mainstream cultural current that seems to flow in a direction opposite to the one our inner compass now points to. We feel adrift in a sea of familiar faces, speaking a language that was once our native tongue, but now sounds like a distant foreign dialect. In this space, two powerful and tempting sirens call. One sings the lullaby of regression, the urge to revert to sleep, to unsee what has been seen, to quiet the inner observer for the simple primal sake of belonging. It whispers that a warmth of the tribe, even a sleeping one, is worth more than the chill of this solitary truth. The other siren sings a more deceptive tune, the anthem of spiritual superiority. It is the temptation to build a new identity atop the rubble of the old one, to use our newfound awareness not as a tool for understanding, but as a shield and a weapon, to look upon those still dreaming with a mix of pity and contempt, thereby masking the profound pain of our own separation behind a fortress of perceived elevation. This is the crucible where the magic of sovereignty is forged. Sovereignty is not isolation. It is not a defiant declaration of independence from the world. It is the slow, patient, often difficult cultivation of an unshakable sense of home within oneself. It is the realization that before we can form new conscious connections with others, a true tribe, not just a crowd, we must first become a complete and grounded entity unto ourselves. We must learn to be our own sanctuary. This inward journey is what many traditions call inner work. It is the conscious, systematic effort to become fully aware of where we stand in our inner and outer world. It's the process of turning down the external noise, the endless scroll of digital lives, the societal expectations, the chatter of a mind untrained, in order to hear the subtle, authentic frequency of our own being. Research suggests that this deliberate self-reflection and mindfulness not only builds this inner home, but actively improves our emotional regulation and overall well-being. It's how we move from a state of being scattered and identified with every passing thought and feeling to a state of being ingathered, centered, and present. The archetypal map of Carl Jung offers a powerful lens for this sovereign journey. We are not building this inner home from scratch, but discovering its already existing architecture. We encounter the shadow, the repository of all we have denied or repressed in ourselves, often projected onto others as judgment. The loneliness can intensify this shadow, making us see only separation. Integrating it, however, means reclaiming those projected parts and finding wholeness within, reducing the need for an external enemy or a perfect external tribe to define us. We navigate our persona, the social mask we developed for adaptation. The loneliness often comes when that mask no longer fits, and we fear there's nothing authentic between it. Sovereignty involves gently setting that mask aside, not to destroy it, but to no longer be enslaved by it, to discover the face underneath. And we are guided, ultimately, by the archetype of the self, the central organizing principle of the psyche that strives for integration and wholeness. This self is not the ego. It is the deeper, wiser consciousness that knows our true path, even when that path leads through a valley of solitude. The feeling of being lost or directionless that accompanies deep loneliness is often a sign of being disconnected from this inner self. Reconnecting is the essence of sovereignty. This process of individuation becomes an integrated, self-directed individual. Is by its nature a solitary trek. It is the hero's journey, undertaken in the quiet chambers of our own heart. Yet, the masters of old, who knew this terrain intimately, never intended for us to walk it forever in isolation. They planted a crucial seed. Sovereignty is the prerequisite for true community, not its replacement. Once the inner home is established, we can open its doors. We can seek connection not from a place of lack and desperate need for validation, but from a place of fullness and a desire for resonance. We can find or create a conscious community, a circle where masks are optional, shadows can be acknowledged, and the journey is shared without demands for conformity. Neuroscience reveals something profound here. When we engage in group spiritual practice or deep dialogue, our brains can synchronize, creating states of collective effervescence that amplify individual growth in ways solitude cannot. This is the tribe of the awake, not the tribe of the asleep. The loneliness of the path, then, is not the destination. It is the necessary wilderness between the land of inherited belonging and the promised land of chosen connection. It is where we stop looking for someone else to complete us and start the work of completing ourselves. It is where we trade the fragile belonging granted by a group for the unshakable belonging granted by our own authentic spirit. We learn that the most important relationship we will ever nurture is the one between the I that is waking up and the vast, silent, loving awareness in which that I arises. From that solid ground, we can finally wave to others across the divides, not with the desperation of the shipwrecked, but with the calm recognition of fellow explorers, each navigating their own unique spiral, each finding their own way home, so that we may one day meet whole in the clear space beyond these bubbles.